One of my favorites is, we were out here, I was the part of the original pageant singers, and we were out here one night singing in front of the crowd, and it was a very large crowd, and we knew there was a group from Kentucky here, and they were sitting up in the southwest corner of the chairs, and we launched into a bunch of patriotic stuff, and then we started singing Dixie, and they all stood up, they all had little flags, and they were passing them back and forth as we sang, and it's, that was great. When all the actors have been here, the people from the TV show are memorable. The night that Catherine McGregor was here and we got rained out, had to cancel the show. She never got to do whatever it was they planned on her doing, and she really was Mrs. Olson. I went to get an autograph and dumped an ice cream cone on my chest, so that was her memory of me. Well, I met wonderful people. I've gotten to, I have a speech theater major, and I got to do something I really enjoyed. Become a real part of the community, feel like you're adding to it, with the pageant suppers, the money that comes in, the economy boost. You feel like you're helping out your town, and it's a good feeling. And there's so many of us that have been involved in just so many different ways. Gives you a good feeling, and meeting really great people over at the T-shirt shack, super people, all of them. Clementina was just a one-year deal because I thought I didn't want to do too much with the pageant singers just starting. Mrs. Kennedy was fun because it was light and it wasn't hard, and you didn't have to emote a lot. Caroline was really difficult, and it was also before Bill and Mr. Rosenwinkel adjusted it so that Ma didn't have all the explanatory. So I believe she had, at one point I thought it was 485 lines, and I was absolutely overwhelmed with that. And the other issue with playing Ma is getting out of that covered wagon and not falling down. And it scared me, and I was scared of the horses, and I was scared of the mules. I was scared of whoever was pulling that wagon. And I kept thinking, if I don't do this right, and one night I went to step down on the hub, and as I stepped on the hub, they went south, and I went down. But I landed with my derriere facing the audience, and I thought, well, there is something for them to remember. Ma was scary. And because she just runs the gamut of emotions, and you realize you're an amateur, but you sure want to do a good job, and you didn't want to come across as fake, and you didn't want to play it too hard, you don't want to play it too heavy, so they thought, oh my gosh. So it was a real balancing act. I was lucky I had good directors to give me help. And then when I went into old Laura, it was like an old shoe, old pair of shoes I put on, and it was very natural. And of course, as I aged with it, 17 years of aging, I don't know how many more lines than Caroline it was. But the thing about that was you were disconnected. You didn't talk to anybody. You didn't interact with anybody. And it was always a case of when I walked out and I was going to give my little speech and I was in the wrong scene. So I just turned around, went back, but I bet they thought, elderly moment. And then my favorite was the scene by the creek where my young Laura finds her doll and I'm standing there. I always thought that was, if you were ever going to grab the audience, you were going to grab them there.
And you did.
I tried. Some nights better than others. The whole thing's an experience. I mean, from coming into town, going to the museum, going to a pageant supper, coming out here, sitting on the hillside, listening to the pageant singers, watching the show, and we've had, marvelous weather. And I got a comment once, and I want to share this because it just knocked me off my toes. We were doing the show, and I recognized two ladies that had been there the night before. And I said to them, why are you here again? Weren't you here last night? And they said to me, we're from New York City, and we don't have enough pictures of the corn. They were so amazed at the green and the open, and they just revel in this. And we take it for granted, and they find it almost unworldly, I think. The comments after the show have just been, from the kids that think you are who you pretend to be, and they all want to hug. They like to hug.